Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video, I want to talk about the book Building the Elite by Jonathan Pope and Craig Weller. Now, this book is super underrated. As you might be able to see on the front, it's aimed at people preparing for military special operations selection, but I found that it's super applicable for life and business and just really anything you want to accomplish that's difficult. So what I want to talk about is a brief overview of the main ideas in this book so I can hopefully motivate you to go out there and purchase it. Now, I'm not related to the authors in any way. I'm not an affiliate of this book, but it's just one of the most unexpectedly useful reads I have read in the last couple months. And I thought it was fantastic and had so many lessons that I could apply to my everyday life. So one of the main things that this book talks about is the idea of systems applied to any goal that you have. So the main point that they make throughout the book is that any goal you want to achieve is a complex system with many variables that can have unintended consequences when you start to play around with those different variables or start to move towards the goal that you want. One of the big themes of the book is that when you try to make a change to improve in some area of your life, there's going to be all these unintended consequences that we often think about as side effects. The point that they make in this book, Building the Elite, is that when you change anything and have a result, none of the results that come from that change are side effects, they're all primary effects. And when you're dealing with a complex system, there's going to be many different effects, some of which are unpredictable. The other thing is that you need to be able to know what you need to focus on and the balance of different things that you need to focus on to keep moving in the direction of your goal. The example that they give in the book is that when people have a goal, they often find a measurement that's relatively arbitrary and is used as a proxy for the overall goal. So for example, they give the situation where a gentleman was training for a special operations selection. One of his goals was in his training program, he wanted to get stronger. In order to do that, he had a handful of different lifts in the gym that he was focusing on to get stronger. The point they made was if you continually just focus on those measures and getting stronger at those measures, you're gonna lose the overall goal of getting stronger in support of going into special operations selection. You might end up having all these different muscle and joint compensations in order to lift more weight that are going to be detrimental to your performance in the selection. So one of the main points is that especially when you're dealing with complex systems, you want to keep the goal and not start to turn from, movement towards your goal towards some specific proxy measure or subsystem that you're over optimizing, which is actually going to damage your overall performance. Now, this can happen in any sort of endeavor. If you over focus on any one point of something you're trying to improve, it's almost always going to be detrimental. And another point that sort of complements this one that they talk about is the idea that you need to focus on weaknesses. So in any system, any complex system, the weakest point is going to be the biggest point of leverage. So this was very counterintuitive for me because I always hear in self-help circles the idea that you really want to focus on your strengths. But it's always seemed to me that, I've done the opposite in my life. When I look at what I've tried to improve at, it's always been weaknesses that I've had that have, led to the biggest improvement in performance, whether it's professionally or just my quality of life. So I think this idea that we need to look at our goals as systems and find the weak point in the systems is super important. Now, they take this point a step further by talking about how feedback loops are very important to be able to continually work on weak points in yourself or the goals that you're working towards. Basically, after you find a weak point and you start to focus on it to improve your performance in that weak point, your weak point is going to change. Over time, it's going to evolve just as you start to get better and start to approach that goal that you're originally aiming for. So you need to set yourself up to be able to get feedback from your environment on your performance so that you can continue to refine your focus to find that new weak point and then go and tackle that one. So for any complex system, it's really just a series of steps which they describe as the OODA Loop, which allows you to go into any complex system, figure out what's going on, find what the weakest point or highest leverage point is, fix that point so you can improve performance, and then repeat the process over and over and over. And if you can do this applied to any complex goal, you're almost guaranteed to improve over time, even if you don't understand everything that's going on in that system. So this was kind of how they opened the book, and throughout each chapter as they get into specifics of preparing for these military special operations selections, they apply some of these lessons of systems thinking. Now, one of the places that it really shines in this book, the discussion of systems, is the idea of decision making in these complex environments and how special operations personnel can make good decisions when they have a high level of ambiguity and a very small amount of information to work with. Now, if you couldn't already tell, these are lessons that are not just applicable to special operations, but they're extremely applicable to life in general and business especially. You can probably easily think of a bunch of examples right now if you've ever tried to do something like start start a business from scratch. So without getting into the rest of the book, I'm just gonna say that I'm gonna probably do a part 2 on this book, talking about some of the decision-making processes they outline in the book for dealing with decision-making in complex systems, because that's a topic that could really have a whole playlist of videos in and of itself. So I'm probably gonna make a part 2 of this book in the future, but I just wanted to highlight it as it's one I've never seen reviewed on YouTube. Again, it's called Building the Elite, and it's privately offered on the website of the authors, but now it's also offered on Amazon. So you can go on there, check it out. It is not a cheap book. I believe this one was $50, but I can tell you it's well worth every penny. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this non-conventional book review. If you did, make sure to hit the like button and comment below, letting me know what you thought about it, or if you're interested in getting this book, or if you got it and actually started to read it. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so that you're notified anytime that I come out with another video just like this. And as always, thank you guys for watching.